We're two best friends.
Two mediums that live in a virtual dream house.
Have our podcast taped and find out what happens when spirits get real.
Real funny. By the way, if you don't like cuss words, Dana, what do we rate it?
We're rated M for mediumship or Matt's immature.
I thought it was Matt is awesome, but whatever. Enjoy this episode.
This is I'm a Medium.
Ask me how.
I'm a medium, ask me how.
Matthew Tao.
Dana Willie.
You know, we tried, I just want to tell all of our amazing listeners, we did try to get an episode out last week, but the mercury was in the Gatorade or the microwave or something. But our patrons got such a nice little treat. So, you know, if you're not part of our Patreon, you're missing out.
I want to talk about it as if they did see it, because that'll make them want to go join Patreon and go see it, because it's actually really funny. But I kept trying to make that train go on the track, but it wasn't going anywhere.
No, and I kept on derailing it. But, you know, we want to give you some FOMO. But if you missed it, I mean, whenever I need a little joy in my life, I go watch it because it's real funny. But
there's a couple things I want to say. First of all, there's a misconception between me and you that I'm the hard one and you're the easy one. That's like complete opposite. You're the hard one and I'm the easy one. And then there's ones that think that I'm the one that takes things off the rails and you're the serious one. Completely reversed. You sometimes go off on a journey. You try to take the ring to the volcano.
Well, so I'm the Frodo in the relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the Frodo Baggins of mediumship.
Well, I get there. I get a little scared, you know, because I maybe, but I always get there, you know.
Well, it takes 3 hours in a movie theater watch you get there, but we got there, and by the end of that, you getting there, I'm like, because my butt hurts.
Listen,
those long movies.
Did you really just say what you said?
Okay, well, it is what it is.
Did you really just say what you said?
I did. I said it on our podcast
this says everything that you needed to know about Matt and I, and here we are. So, guys,
we're amongst friends, Dana. We're amongst friends. Welcome to the episode of the podcast where we are going to get a little serious, right, Dana? We're getting a little serious today.
No, now we're going to get serious. Okay. You know, having friends here. This is. I found the transition. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Having friends like you is really important, and trying to find friends when you're the weird and you're trying to navigate. And we want to, you know, all of that is really important, right? But there are some speed bumps and some landmines when you are trying to find friends in this whole psychic mediumship woo-woo community. And, you know, we have had a community episode before, but we think that it's really important to actually talk about some of the pitfalls of the spiritual community, because, you know, we've been through it. The Towster, I am somebody. One of our friends is trying to make Towster a thing. I'm going to go ahead and make Towster a thing. But Towster, we're going to talk about the pitfalls of the spiritual community today.
It sounds good, Juana Deli. Sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I just need to take a moment and just say that this year has been so difficult. It's been really, really tough. I remember back in the community episode where I was like, make a community. But after this year, it slowed me down to be like, focus on yourself. Because we, in the community, we call ourselves healers, right? And we're here to heal as many people as we can. But I think one thing that we forget as healers is we forget to start with ourself. Mm-hmm. Every single video I've ever made around mediumship has always leaked out this phrase, and it's the cross I'm going to die on, Dana, and I'm cool with it, is that 90% of mediumship is not the mechanics of mediumship. It is the personal growth. It is a personal development. It's the shadow work of what we look at. And a lot of spiritual workers come from trauma, and they come from a lot of like abuse, or they come from a lot of traumatic events where we've had to learn how to read a room to survive, and we've had to be in situations and predicaments and with people that aren't good for us. And so we grow up a little damaged. We grow up a little like, I'm not safe. I'm not safe. And so we've had to use our abilities to navigate us to safe, right? But along that journey and the navigation to safe, we've experienced a lot of trauma that has gotten us there, and it's stacked up over time. It's not something where we have one traumatic event. No, we have a series of traumatic events. There's a bunch of them. And so with spirit, in my opinion, Dana, and you, I would love to hear your opinion on this, is that spirit gives us a little bit of power, and it's up to us to do the rest of the work. And sometimes people don't put the mask on themselves before healing other people, and it can be messy.
It can be really messy. And, you know, the way that we work with a lot of our students in their development is really focusing on building their relationship with the spirit world first. I think there's a lot of a rush to, first off, working with the general public first, too quickly, and branching out very quickly and helping others, because we are a bunch of healing people trying to heal others, in the process of going through, because we're always healing, always growing, right? And so we build these communities of like, oh, you're hurting, well, let me focus on you instead of focusing on the work that I need to be doing myself. And I think that that sometimes happens in these communities as well, where we get so sidetracked by what person A is doing and what they're going on in their life, and we focus all of our energy on them, that we lose track of ourselves in all of it. And I think it's really important that we keep the focus on ourselves and our relationship with the spirit world, and where we are in our journey, where we're getting triggered, what's going on, the shadow work that you talked about, of like really facing like what's coming up for us. There also, the other thing that was coming up for me when you were talking about that, we do this little thing on Thursday night where we do a sitting in the power, where we send love to everybody in the circle. And I always tell everybody, how does it feel when you send love to everybody else in the circle? But how does it feel when your name is called and love is sent back to you? And then I ask everybody, like, how well are you at receiving love? Because I feel like a lot of us are really good at putting the focus on other people, but it's really hard for us to take the focus and put it on ourselves, and also to receive. And so when you look at all of what I just said and everything that Matt just said, there's a word that comes up, and it's unhealthy, and it can go toxic. Unhealthy, one step away from unhealthy is toxic. And there it can go toxic very quickly. And then you add the power thing that Matt mentioned, and then the ego gets involved, and that unhealthy toxic thing, and goes poof. It can go bad really, really quick. So if you have not been taking care of yourself, and you don't have a good connection with the spirit world or your confidence level, oh, it will break you to your core.
Yes, and I'm going to drop a nugget here. Ready, Willie? Nobody in the spiritual community can heal you.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what? We're healers. They can heal you. They can empower you to do the work, but they can't heal you. So when we're going in the spiritual community as like healers and we're all equal and this is amazing, just think about a bunch of unhealed people in a massive group. Two unhealed people does not make a healed person.
That's
Okay,
not the math we're
does
doing here
it
today.
don't math, girl. Two unhealthy people does not make a healthy person. And so the only way that we can get healthy is we have to self-reflect and heal ourselves. We have to face the shit that we don't like about ourselves. Nobody is perfect. And I think a lot, and I'm going to just say it, Dana. I'm going to say it. Okay, get ready, brace yourself. A lot of people don't want to look at that. So they get that little bit of power and then they're like, oh, I'm perfect. I'm perfect. But the whole time behind the scenes of what you don't see is, I'm not good enough. This is terrible. This is all. But then they'll present themselves as like, oh, I'm healed. No, you're not, Linda. You ain't fooling me. And if your name is really Linda, I'm sorry. But it really is true. It's kind of looking at ourselves of just show up and be authentically yourself and admit where you are. And I think that's also a really good key of the first step of healing is admitting that you're hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Wearing your hurt as a badge of honor that you're in progress and working on yourself and that you're not perfect, because it
Mm-hmm.
says a lot. Like if you notice and you watch other content creators like on TikTok or other mediums where they go around and they're like, I'm the best medium there is and nobody's as good as I am and nobody else can heal like I can. Do you know what that really says to me, Dana Willie?
Hmm.
It says, I'm insecure, I'm broken, and I need to convince you to convince myself. And that shows you where they are in their development journey, where they care about themselves. It's not the words that they're saying, it's the actual like undercurrent that's brewing underneath when somebody's screaming how great they are. Happy people, and this is going to be a little nugget I'm going to drop again. Happy people don't need to convince you they're happy. Sad people don't need to convince you that they're sad. Mad people don't need to convince you that they're mad. They just show up that way. And so I think kind of understanding where other people are on their journey and not judging them. So like when I'm saying these things about like somebody being like, oh, I'm the best, I don't look at that as a judgment thing. I look at it as like highlighting of being like, okay, this is where you are. And I've got to let you fix that.
Mm-hmm. I think something that you just said made me realize where this conversation needs to go next. I think that there is this feeling in the spiritual community that we all need to get along and all need to have this kumbaya moment and sit at the
Mm-hmm.
table together and all be as one. And I think that that is a big misconception,
Mm-hmm.
um, because we all have different, I always say many roads to Rome, right? We all are different people. We all have different life experiences. We all have different modalities. Like sometimes we can agree to disagree. And in a perfect world, I would love to say, like, you're not so much for me. I'm just going to leave you here and we can agree to disagree and be kind to one another. But I think that we kind of idealistically, when we step into our spiritual practices and our spiritual development, we have this idealistic part of us of like, we're all just going to get along and we're all going to bring everybody to the table and it's going to be all kumbaya and isn't it beautiful and lovely and just this beautiful thing. And that's unrealistic. And I say that because I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were there.
Uh-huh.
And so I share that because it's something that I think we hold on to it and we excuse poor behavior for a long time because we're like, well, they're trying to heal, or I see the potential in them, or, let's just all get along and all of that. And I just think it needs to be said that we don't all need to like sit at the table together.
I agree. I totally agree. And you know what? I'm polarizing, and I know I'm polarizing, okay? Because I don't believe in the spooky woo woo stuff. And that's just me. That's my personal opinion. And I think that, like, there's also an undervaluing of having a seat at the table for everybody. Like, you don't need to agree with me. You don't need to sit with me, but you can respect that I have an opinion and it may differ than yours. But I think with a lot of healed trauma around not being seen or heard or whatever it is, when somebody has a counteracting opinion in the community, we turn on them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I don't care if you believe in demons. I don't care if you believe that you can float a pencil across the room. I don't care. I don't care because I'm too busy doing my own work. But I think where I get upset, and I had to learn this lesson, is that it can't be disempowering to the general public.
Mm-hmm.
But a wise man once said to me, "That's our lesson." I was like, "What?"
Mhm. Mhm. Sometimes we can't save everybody, and I think that is a real big thing. We believe when we step forward into this that we're going to save everybody. Well, first off, did they ask you? Did they ask you for help? Do they want to be
Mhm.
saved? Why don't you focus your energy on people that actually asked you for help? I think a lot of people, do you notice that this person always has the same problem? The other thing that comes to mind about this is how much drama tends to happen and rumors and all of that. Let's just There's a reason that like reality TV is such a big hit. There's a reason that like we watch movies and TV and like even TikTok, we scroll fast. There's a dopamine hit when we
Mhm.
get drama.
Mhm.
And it can be addicting to be involved in it, to be part of this little circle of like, ooh, what did they say? Oh, and what's going on with so and so, and putting somebody on a pedestal and then knocking them down and getting the tea on somebody. That's a dopamine rush.
Mhm.
And so drama can be very addictive, and it can be very, again, that toxicity part. It happens, y'all. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it happens. So the reason I mention that to you is, what role do you have, if not if, but when drama is brought to your doorstep? What do you do when drama is brought to your doorstep? And this doesn't have to be in the spiritual community. This can be in a broader context. But like, what do you do when rumors are brought to your door? What do you do when drama is brought to your doorstep?
Oh, there's so much I want to say that I'm afraid that if I just regurgitate it all out, it's like this podcast is going to go on forever. But I will say is like, why? How does it affect you? First of all, like ask yourself, does this affect me? If it does directly affect me, go to the source. So if somebody's saying something about somebody else, go to the source. Another thing you can do is ask why. Why is this coming to me? Why are you saying this to me? Hold space if somebody needs to vent, right? But also know that there's three sides to a story. There's the one person's side, another person's side, and the truth. But just know that, like, dude, life is so short and the work that we have to do is so important that that is a distraction. That is literally an energy sucker. Like when somebody's talking about somebody else and what they're doing, do you know the productive shit they could be doing that's actually healing for other people? But they're fucking distracted. And it also tells me that they're bored, that there's something about their life that they're really unhappy about. So they've got to highlight what other people are doing to make themselves feel better. And that is not healing. That's actually counterproductive because you're not dealing with what hurts with you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I have so much to say about that. There's one nugget I want to drop in here. We always look at other people to heal us. But I want to tell you, in my experience, and this just came through to me, is that healers aren't saviors. You're never going to go to a healer and they're going to save you. The healers are really good empowerers that give you the tools to heal yourself. So there's no amount of psychism, there's no amount of um, mediumship or tarot cards or oracle cards that are going to give you the answer. Now they might give you the aha moment that you're having, but really the healing is done within. There might be something that they say that gives you that aha unlock, but they're not going in and fixing the problem. They're just giving you the tools to succeed. So, like, a really great healer is empowering. And so, when a healer or somebody that presents themselves as a healer has to talk about other people, that shows miles and miles of where they think about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're doing the right work and you're doing the amazing things that you're supposed to be doing, nothing that anybody says about you will affect you. It kind of goes back to that three pigs analogy that you were talking about earlier, Dana, in a conversation that we had, where what is your foundation?
Mm-hmm.
What is your foundation? So who the fuck you are? Who are you?
Well, let's talk about the three pigs analogy because I actually
Let's
think
do
this
it.
comes out perfect here. So,
Hmm.
Matt and I had a conversation one morning, and I said, why we need to focus on ourselves and our strengths and like our relationship with the spirit world. Because when something comes up, because life comes up, toxic people can come up, all kinds of different things can come up. But what is your spiritual practice built on? And if you don't have a solid basis in your beliefs, in your confidence, in what this is built on, it's going to get blown over, right? So it's the three little pigs. Is your house
Hmm.
built of straw? Is it built of bricks? What is it built of? And if you've taken the time and you've built your foundation, you've done the personal development, you've done the shadow work, you've looked at yourself, you understand what your triggers are, you understand what your life stuff is. You've gone to therapy if you need to do therapy, but you continue to show up for your personal development. You've done the work with spirit, you know your relationship with them, you know that you're connected. When something comes in, maybe you feel the wind. You've got that nice brick house. You feel the wind against that house, but it doesn't knock you down. But if you
Hmm.
haven't done that work, that straw house or that wooden house, it's going to knock down every single time.
And that is spirit. Spirit is the wind. They're the ones that are knocking it down. They're telling you that you're not concrete in your foundation, that your house is not like solid, and they'll remind you of it over and over and over again. And that's the self development. So, even let's say, like, Dana, let's say you don't believe in demons. Okay. Let's say you don't believe in demons. If,
Mm-hmm.
or actually, let's say you do believe in demons. Okay. Let's reverse this. Let's say you do believe in demons. You've had experiences with demons, which you really, really haven't. I want to highlight that. But this is your belief. You believe it concrete. You've had this experience. If you are standing in your truth, it shouldn't matter anything that I say about it to affect you zero if you know that that's your truth. If there is something that I'm saying that is bothering you, that's an indication that your foundation is not solid. So, standing in our truth and experience is going to help you, but spirit will bring that up as signs of being like, okay, well, if you're bothered by that, you need to look at why. Why are you bothered by that? And you're
This
just
is why
reinforcing the concrete.
This is why I don't get mad about triggers, y'all. Triggers are an indication of where you need to work. So if you are triggered
Mm-hmm.
by something, this is the area you need to focus on. If something in your life is like, hey, this is coming up for you and this is something you need to work on, that means you need to work on it. That doesn't mean you run away from it. It means there's something here that you're not dealing with. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
have, you can listen. I'm a person of like cutting people out that like and creating boundaries of like you're not for me because you have this thing and that's not for me. But if that same kind of person keeps showing up in my life over and over and over again and they're triggering me, there's something that I got to be paying attention to.
Amen. Amen, bitch. Amen. I gotta say that, Dana. Like that was beautiful. And blaming other people, because like I notice like a lot of people will have repeated patterns of unhealed trauma, right? So like let's say I have I'm gonna use Linda again, okay? So I had a
Poor
Linda in my
Linda.
life that I know, Linda, girl, you're doing a lot. But let's say Linda traumatized me as a kid, and then I meet Judy, and Judy does the same behaviors as Linda. It's the same situation, but a different face. So we've got to look at like the things that people say about us and the triggers are just bringing up a past experience. And it's just the same situation, just with a different face. So if you're having a reaction about what somebody said to you, or the way that somebody's speaking about you, or whatever it is about your craft, or something about your life, there's something that you need to look back on to look at Linda being like, I forgive you. That's not true. I know my truth. It doesn't matter what anybody says about me because I know that that's not true. I've done that work. And it really will make you a better spiritual worker,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think we get so distracted. I think our human and our ego and our spiritual work are two separate things. And I think sometimes in this community, our ego takes over way more than the actual work. It takes over way
Absolutely.
too much. And it looks at the three little pig analogy and it just places it on like how fragile we are as humans working with people that are really vulnerable, because at the end of the day, Dana, we're dealing with damaged people. And
Hmm.
we have to come up to the table the best versions of ourselves, the best versions of ourselves, because the general public deserves the very best, right? They deserve quality healing. And if we are not looking at ourselves and looking at the pain that we have and starting to work on that, what is the care level of the person that you're going to heal for if we aren't
Yeah.
healing ourselves?
Well, here's the thing, and it's always good to take a break if you need. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I actually spoke about this today that I haven't been reading a whole lot. And it's because I haven't had it in my wheelhouse to do that, emotionally, to do that, to show up 100%, because we do have a responsibility to come to the table full and ready to go, because there is a huge responsibility when we do this work. This isn't a cute little magic trick that we do,
Mm-mm.
whether this is a psychic reading or a mediumship reading, whatever it is, or just pulling some tarot cards. What we do affects people and their lives. And we don't know what we're going to be touching on when we do a reading. So if
Mm-hmm.
we're not coming to the table full and ready to work, we shouldn't be doing it. So I haven't been. And I'm finally coming back and I'm doing it more and I'm feeling comfortable with doing it more, but it's okay to take a break to do the work on yourself that you need to do.
Yeah.
Again, it's building that brick house. It's reinforcing that foundation sometimes when we have to. I'm still working on my development. I still sit with spirit every day. I still work internally, but I'm just not working with the general public a whole lot right now. And that's what I need to do to make sure that I'm the best healer, the best medium that I possibly can. Cuz in the end, we kind of diverted from the community conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but it for an important reason, because in the end, community doesn't matter. Community doesn't matter. I'm going to say it again. The sitter matters. The
Yes.
spirit world matters.
Yes. You just
All of
stole what I
this
was going to say.
drama. Oh, I'm so sorry. All of this drama, all of this like is a distraction from what truly matters, from why we truly do this. Having community, having friends. I found my best friend. I'm grateful and thankful for having him. That's a that's a gift with purchase. That is not why I do this.
Mm-mm.
I always say I was okay before Matt, I will be okay after Matt. Hopefully there's no after Matt. But
No.
we have to be complete within ourselves alone, not because of somebody else.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple things I want to say because you just nailed it perfectly. Is mediumship and psychism really about us?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. It's about us being the clearer vessel, the emptier vessel for spirit. Because really, at the end of the day, you're not really fucking doing anything. I hate to say it that way, but I need to say it that way. Is like, it's not the evidence that we pull through, right? It's how we stepped out of the way to give that message. It's how we stepped out of the way to get that clairvoyant image. It's how we stepped out of the way to get that clear sentient feeling. So it has nothing to do with us at all, of how great we look or the type of evidence that we pull through or who's in our corner or who believes in us and who doesn't. It's about the spirit world and the person you're reading for. And so I always like to compare ourselves as phones. It's like literally walking around and being like, I'm an Apple iPhone and you're an Android, so you're less than. The phone doesn't walk around and brag about how great the fucking phone is. Does it? Does your Apple iPhone do that? Because my
No.
Apple iPhone doesn't. So imagine us being the conduit or the channel or the middleman walking around being like, I'm the best phone there is. You know how
Mm-hmm.
stupid you sound.
Mm-hmm.
Because really you just were in the perfect spot to get the clarity to give the message. Now, granted, yes, some flip phones are outdated and all that stuff, but
But they
you
still
get
carry a message.
correct. 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 And it's just not the quality. It's literally how much we can step out of the way. So the shadow work, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, is how much can we be a better conduit? How much can we be a better phone? The community comes second.
Mm-hmm.
And I said this to you earlier because we were talking about like this as a little bit of a topic of being like, it literally is just a bunch of people running around saying that they're the best version. They're the best. They're the best. They're the best. But the community at a whole doesn't matter because we're all talking about something positive, but somebody has to prove that they're even more positive than somebody else.
Well, it's what happens. It's such an interesting dichotomy because here's the thing: like we're just spilling tea here today at Matt and
Yeah.
Dana.
Yeah.
At I'm a Medium. Ask me how. It comes. This is how a lot of it starts. We all kind of step into our spiritual practice of like, I need to find my people.
Hmm.
Everybody's gonna get along. Everything's gonna be great. And then we start developing, and then comparison starts coming in,
Yeah.
and then the ego starts, and then we start like either there's competition because I'm trying to get clients and so are you, and then it can be because of that, or if you're on social media, I have this many followers and you have this many followers, or it becomes competition. There is enough for everybody. Can we just say that? So there's a couple of things. What you have is something somebody else wants, and what you're admiring in somebody else, they stop focusing on what you don't have or what
Yeah.
somebody else has. Okay? Focus on yourself. And as far as business out there, there's plenty of business out there, y'all. Stop
Yeah.
worrying about what business somebody else is getting or what business you're not getting. Focus on yourself. It's this. I've seen it happen 1,000 times where like, kumbaya, we're all friends. It's amazing. Oh my God. And then all of a sudden we're stabbing each other in the back. And it's like, and tearing each other down because so and so's getting more business than so and so's doing this, and so. Can you believe this? And all of a sudden we're tearing each other down and stabbing each other in the back.
Or they assume. There's assuming going
There's a
on.
lot of assuming.
There's a lot of assuming. So I can just say this. I'm going to use us as an example, right? So, like, do you know how hard we work? How many days a week that we work? How much thought and effort and meetings that we put into? And we've had people tell us, I was just handed to them. What? I want it handed to me, please, because the work that we're doing, if that's handing us to us, I want less of that,
Ask
please.
my husband. Ask ask your partner if it's how
This
much we work.
the 6 day work 6 day work week that we've got seems really like handed to us, but it does. To get to my point around this is that like you do two things when you compare yourself to somebody else or you judge somebody else's journey. You discredit your own hard work, but you also discredit theirs because we don't know the story of somebody and how they got there. Nobody's handed anything anybody. Sometimes people are lucky and they're in the right spot at the right time, but that doesn't discredit the work that they've done in their work. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a jealousy green-eyed monster. Anything that somebody else has is possible for you, but there's prices that have to be paid to get there, and we don't know the prices. And I think when we're jealous of somebody else because they read better than us, we are so fucking distracted by what they're doing that we aren't looking in our own yard to know that the mess that we have to clean up to get there. And we just kind of go, well, they got more followers than us.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm going to be real with you. Sometimes people get more followers because they're pretty. Sometimes people get more followers because they were just lucky on an algorithm. Sometimes people get followers because they had hard work and they put hard work into it. But it's just the way that life sometimes falls, that cards fall and people play the cards that they're dealt. That does not make them better than or less than. Because let me tell you, honey, let me tell you this. I've actually seen somebody with a really high follower count that is the most humblest person in the world, that is the biggest fucking heart. And I've seen somebody with over 1 million followers that has the ugliest heart that I've ever seen in my life, that takes advantage of people. And neither one of them is better than the other. It is just perspective, because some people, they love that brand and some people love the other. Who cares at the end of the day?
And
Who
what does
really
that have to
cares?
do with you?
Correct.
Right? None of that has to do
Correct.
with you.
Correct. It has nothing to do with you. So what I really want to get to the point of my rant portion of it is focus on yourself. Everything is a distraction. If it is not positive towards what you're doing and the point and the goal of what you're doing, it's a distraction and noise, and it's sucking you away from it. So if somebody's talking about you, it's a distraction from the work. It's literally your eyes are now going, huh? And you're not focused on the healing and the work that you're supposed to be doing. You're paying attention to somebody else that's now distracted, and it's a distraction ring over and over and over again.
Yep.
I I've been talked about. I'm going to be real. I've been talked about in the community over and over and over and over and over again. You know what my theory on this is?
Hmm.
I can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's talking about me, I'm a big boy. I've done the self development. My foundation is locked down. Okay. I have a really good lockdown now. I may just have a little gust of wind opening my door now and again, but I know who I am. I know what I provide. I know the service that I provide. I know the person in my heart. You tell me I have a bigger heart all the time. I know who I am. So at least they're talking about me. And if they're talking about me, they're saving it from somebody that hasn't done that foundational work that could crumble
Yeah.
under that. So keep
Here,
talking.
yeah. There's always going to be people talking. And that
Mm-hmm.
goes to a thing that I actually saw a post from somebody else the other day of saying that they were too happy or too this or too that. You're never going to be perfect enough for
Yes.
somebody. You have to be you. And I think like trying to fit into some cookie cutter, or I have to be this or I have to be that, you need to be you. Matt and I always talk about your special spice. We don't believe in you being a cookie cutter medium or psychic. We know
Nope.
that you have to, spirit has brought you to this work for some reason. And your voice, your life experience, everything that you are has brought you to this work for a reason, because you are going to be the right reader for the right person. That's why there's no lack, by the way, because you are
Yeah.
going to be the perfect reader for the right person. Stop. Just stop. Be nice. Be nice to yourself.
Be
But
nice to yourself. Yes. Be nice to be nice to our friend, whatever your name is, insert name here.
insert name here. But here's the thing, like having relationships is important. Building friendships, you have something in common with people. Building friendships is cool. And I don't want to ever undercut that. Um
No.
but always knowing when people don't fit anymore. And it's okay if you outgrow groups or communities or
Mm-hmm.
friendships or whatever. Um, Always staying true to what your intuition is telling you. And we can part ways and not and say like, hey, we just don't fit anymore. We don't need to make a square peg fit in a triangle
No.
slot anymore. I think you're going to shift and change 1,000 different times in your development. I'm still shifting and changing. Um, and I know that I will continue to do so. And in doing that, I know that I'm going to have new people come in, and I know that I'm going to have people leave. And the thing is that there are people for a reason or a season, and we can let people go when they don't resonate with us anymore. And we can let them go with love and say, hey, thanks for being in my life for the time that you were. Thanks for any lessons that you brought me. But I think this moment of like kumbaya, we all have to be friends. I think we got to move on, and
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's not healthy.
I want to add one thing to what you said. The most important relationship in a community, the most important relationship is yourself. Because at the end of the day, you have to rest your own head on the pillow and they will not be in the same, most likely, same room. I mean, when we hang out, we're in the same room, but you have to form that relationship with yourself and the confidence with yourself. And if you're uncomfortable with yourself and you are seeking validation from others, that's a huge indication that you got some work to do. And you've got to love yourself. And you
Mhm.
have to do that work. And you have to do it for the spirit world, but you really ultimately have to do it for the comfort level of yourself and your skin. And you love the skin you're in, be the person that makes yourself shine. You're not for everyone. That is 100% cool. Like I am so okay that if you don't want to come play out my Maddie Land dream house, my Mojo Jojo Casa house, I'm cool with that. But that doesn't mean that you can't go play in Dana Willie's. But playing in your own is the most important. Don't get distracted from the work. And I think the personal relationship with you and spirit is also a really healthy relationship that you really should work on. The best mediums and the best psychics have the most strongest connection that's unshakable with spirit, but with a very healthy skepticism of what is possible. And I think also, like, I love how you're like, we all don't have to sit at the table. You can sit at the table with people that don't agree with you as well. Right. And that's cool too, because sometimes other people's opinions might challenge your own, or you might actually have an opinion that could lead somebody else into self discovery for themselves. So continue to have healthy discussions. But at the end of the day, the most important community that you can have is with the spirit world, your guides, and you.
Mhm.
That's a community that I have, and you're in there
Oh, yay!
too.
I think a big part of our spiritual development is learning to trust our intuition. And
Mhm.
if somebody or something doesn't feel safe or right anymore, trust it. I think we dismiss that a lot. I think we want to see
Mhm.
the best in people. I think we want to see possibilities in people, so we stay longer than we should. I'm guilty of this myself.
Me too.
This was my biggest life lesson this year of staying in things longer than I should have, because I saw the possibilities in somebody. um it's okay. Again, reason or a season, and not everything is meant to stay in our life forever. So thank it for what it taught you. And like I said, I don't want to poo poo every, because there are some dope communities and I have some dope friends. But I think that there gets to be this, I think we need to have an awareness of when things start to go left, what you do. Always
Mhm.
go to the source. Know that you are not obligated to participate at all at any time. That you can excuse yourself, that you can have some boundaries of like, why are you bringing this to me? I don't care to participate. You don't have to be involved in it. And know that once you are involved in it, it gets addictive. Drama is addictive. You have a choice not
It,
to be focused in on it.
it's the quicksand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one step in it, you're in it. So I always now I'm gonna say, you know what my saying's gonna be, Dana Willie.
Hmm.
Gossiping is for the bored.
It is.
Success is for the strong.
Ooh. Do you want a
Mhm.
t-shirt?
Yeah,
Okay.
bet.
Bet. Well, we love you guys. We hope that that was helpful. I think everybody has the best intentions, and we honor the best intentions, and we know that life can get lonely as psychic mediums and as you're navigating this. But always using your discernment and trusting, you're learning to develop your intuition. Trust it. And we love
Yeah,
you.
we love you all. You're in our hearts. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Do something nice for your yourself.
Yeah. Oh my God, did you hear what that Dana did?
Oh my God. Bye.
Bye. Dana bought army pants and flip flops, so I'm wearing army pants and flip flops. Raise your hand if you've been personally affected by Dana Willie.
Raise your hand if your butt hurts too.